Dear students, today we are going to discuss about variation of chemical properties in periodic table. So up to yesterday, we have completed variation of physical properties like atomic radius, ionization potential, electron affinity and electronegativity. Today, how chemical properties are changing in modern periodic table will be discussed. Okay, first, valence or valency. Valency can also be denoted as oxidation state. So this is not new to you. Already we have completed this in lower classes. So valence or valency is nothing but simply combining capacity of an element. An element is combining with how much other elements or atoms. So this is called valence or valency. This is calculated in two ways. One is based on the standard hydrogen atom. Right? An element or an atom is combining with how much hydrogen atom. So this is the way of calculating valency. Now consider water molecule. What is the formula for water molecule? H2O. Two hydrogen atoms bonded with a single oxygen. So we take hydrogen as a standard or reference one. With respect to hydrogen, we may calculate what is the combining capacity of another atom or an element. So in order to calculate the valence of oxygen, the valency is calculated as 2 because each oxygen is bonded with two hydrogen atoms in water molecule. So this is one way of calculating valency of an element. So valency is defined as combining capacity of an element with hydrogen. An element is combining with how much hydrogen atoms. This is called valency of an element. This is a public 2 more question. What is valency? Another way of classification is based on valence electrons. So we may consider second period elements. What are the second period elements? Lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon. For each element, we know the atomic number. Lithium atomic number 3, beryllium 4, boron 5, nitrogen 7, oxygen 8, fluorine 9, neon 10. Then for each atom or an element, we know the electronic configuration. We know the arrangement of electron in the orbitals. For lithium, what is the electronic configuration? 1s2, 2s1. Out of 3 electrons, 2 electrons are occupying first cell. That means 1s orbital. The third electron is occupying second cell. That means 2s orbital. So like this, for each element in second period, we know the electronic configuration. As we discussed in the previous classes, which orbital will be filled in case of second period element? 2s and 2p. So these orbitals will be filled by electrons in second period. So based on that, we have already calculated how much elements can be in the second period. 8 elements, right? Because we have 4 orbitals, 2s, 2px, 2py, 2pz. So we have 4 orbitals. Electrons can be filled in 4 orbitals. So each orbital can accommodate 2 electrons. So 4 orbital can accommodate maximum 8 electrons. So that number of elements in the second period will be 8. So all these basics we have already completed. Now we are going to calculate valence of an element. So what is the first method of calculating valence? You just find an element is making a bond with how much hydrogen atom. So this is a way of calculating valence of an element. Next one is based on valence electron. So first we have to know what is a valence electron. For that we have taken second period element from lithium to neon, and we know the atomic number as well as electronic configuration of each element. Mostly which orbital will be filled by electrons in second period element? 2s, 2px, 2py, 2pz. Each orbital can accommodate 2 electrons. So that maximum 8 electrons can be there. So 8 elements will be in the second period. Now valence electron is nothing but electrons present in the outermost cell, right? So what is a cell in second period element? Outermost cell is second cell. So 1s, 2s, 2px, 2py, 2pz. All these orbitals will be filled in second period. Out of two cells, first cell and the second cell will be the outermost cell for second period elements, right? So now we are going to write number of electrons in the outermost cell, that means second cell. So this is called the valence electron. Number of electrons in the valence cell is called the valence electron. Second method of calculating valence is based on valence electron. So for lithium, 1s to 2s1, in the outermost cell, second cell, 1 electron is present. So number of electrons in valence cell of lithium, 1. Now what about valence or valency? You just take valence electron as valency up to number 4, right? So for lithium, number of electrons in the second cell is 1. So valency is 1. That means combining capacity of lithium is 1. Lithium can make a bond with only one element. So this is combining capacity or valency of lithium. Then beryllium, atomic number 4, 1s2, 2s2. 2 electrons present in second cell. So valency 2. Then boron, atomic number 5, 1s2, 2s2, 2p1. So 3 electrons present in outermost cell, second cell. Valence electrons 3, so that valency also 3. Then carbon, atomic number 6, 1s2, 2s2, 2px1, 2py1. So totally 4 electrons present in the second cell, outermost cell, second cell. So that valence electron 4 means valency also 4. Next, nitrogen, atomic number 7, 1s2, 2s2, 2px1, 2py1, 2pz1. So totally 5 electrons. Totally 5 electrons present in the second cell of nitrogen. What is the method of calculating valency? You just take valence electron as its valency. So 5 will be the valency of nitrogen, as well as valence electron should be subtracted from the value 8. So 8 minus valence electron is called a valency. So here we have to consider two things, right? When valence electron is up to 4 means you take valency as 4. But when the valence electron is more than 4 means take the valence electron as valency, as well as 8 minus the valence electron is called a valency. So 8 minus 5, 3 is the valency. In the same way for oxygen, atomic number 8, 1s2, 2s2, 2px2, 2py1, 2pz1. So totally 6 electrons present in the second cell. Valency 6. At the same time, 8 minus 6, 2 is also the valency of oxygen. So this represents what? Oxygen can combine with 2 elements, or it can combine with 6 elements. So combining capacity will be 2 as well as 6 based on the formation of compound. Right. Next, atomic number of fluorine 9, 1s2, 2s2, 2px2, 2py2, 2pz1. Totally 7 electrons present in second cell. So valence electron 7 means valency also 7. 8 minus 7, 1 is the valence. So this is called the variable valency. More than one valence is possible for an element, right? Then as we know, neon is highly stable, right? Electronic configuration, atomic number 10. So electronic configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2px2, 2py2, 2pz2. So all the orbitals are completely filled, so they are stable. 8 electrons present in the second cell. So valence electron 8 means valence 8, then 8 minus 8, 0 is a valency. That means stable. Mostly noble gases will not react with other elements. They are highly stable. Valence 0 means combining capacity 0. It won't combine with any other elements. Right? So this is a way of calculating valency. So this is the definition. Valence of an atom is a combining capacity relative to hydrogen atom. So this is first method. You just count how much hydrogen atoms are bonded with the element. Based on that, you may calculate valency of an element. Next one, valency is equal to the total number of electrons in the valence shell, or else it will be equal to the 8 minus number of valence electrons. These methods, you may calculate valency of an element. Valency can also be denoted as oxidation state. For each element, there is a charge. For a neutral atom, charge is 0. It may be cation as well as anion. For any species, there will be a charge. For a neutral atom, for a cation, for anion, all will have a charge. So charge is nothing but oxidation state or valency. Right? So consider Na plus. Sodium has lost an electron, it becomes Na plus. What is the charge of sodium plus? 1 plus is a charge. Oxidation state 1 plus means combining capacity 1. That means valency 1. So valency can also be expressed in terms of oxidation state. Oxidation state is nothing but charge of a species. Next, what about variation of this valence in modern periodic table? So as we said, valence is mainly depending on valence electrons in the valence shell. Based on the valence electron, we may explain the variation. So first consider groups in modern periodic table. What is the variation of valency in group? As we discussed, when you take any group, outermost configuration will be similar. Right? Outermost configuration will be similar. For that, you may consider group number 1 as well as 15. You consider here. First, we have taken group number 1, alkali metals. First, alkali metals have considered. The members are lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium. So these are all the members of group number 1. We know the electronic configuration of each species. Lithium 1s2 2s1, sodium 1s2 2s2 2p6 3s1, potassium 1s2 2s2 2p6 3s2 3p6 4s1. So what is the outermost configuration? General outermost configuration is already studied as NS1. Just N value will be changed. For lithium, N value will be 2. For sodium, N value will be 3. So outermost orbital will be what? 2s1 for lithium, 3s1 for sodium, 4s1 for potassium, 5s1 for rubidium, 6s1 for cesium, 7s1 for francium. So just principal quantum number, that means shell is changed. Number of electron in the outermost shell same. So all these members are having outermost electron in the outermost shell as 1. So number of electrons in the outermost shell 1 for all the members in the group number 1. What about the valency? For all these elements, valency also 1. Right. So valence electron is nothing but valency. So first group elements are having the same number of electrons in the valence shell. So valency also same. Right. So in group, number of electrons in the valence shell same, so that all the elements will have same valency in a group. So this is a variation, right? So in a group, valency will not be changed. All the elements will have same valence electron, so that valency also same. For that, we have considered group number 1. Another example, group number 15. Right? Group number 15 is what family? Nitrogen family. What are the members? Nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth. All these are the members of group number 15. And we know the atomic number as well as electronic configuration of each species. So nitrogen atomic number 7. 2 electrons will be in the first cell, remaining 5 electrons will be in the second cell. 1s2, 2s2, 2p3. So totally 5 electrons will be in the outermost cell, second cell. Phosphorus outermost cell is third cell. So here also 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p3. Atomic number 15. Right? In same way, for arsenic, antimony, bismuth, outermost cell contains 5 electrons. So number of electrons in the valence cell of group number 15th elements 5. So what is the method of calculating valency? Valence electron is nothing but valency, or else 8 minus the valence electron. 8 minus 5, 3. Okay. So nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth exhibits variable valency. More than one valency is possible. Either it can exhibit 3 or else 5. Right. So what about valence in a group? Number of electrons in the valence cell is the same, so that valency also same. For nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth, valency 5 or else 3. Next, what is the variation of valence in period? So as we know, left to right in a period, atomic number changes, right? So consider second period, left to right, atomic number increases by 1. Lithium 3, beryllium 4, boron 5, like that. Atomic number is increased by 1. So atomic number increases means number of electrons in the outermost cell increases. So lithium has only 1 electron in the outermost cell. Beryllium has 2 electrons in the outermost cell. So number of electrons in the outermost cell increases, thereby valency also changes. So what is the variation of valence in the outermost cell of one period elements? Since atomic number changes from left to right, atomic number is increased by 1, thereby number of valence electrons will also increase from left to right in a period, thereby valency will also be changed. So up to 4, we take the valence electron as such valency. If valence electron 5 means we take 5 as well as 8 minus 5 as 3. So valency will be changed for elements in a period. Okay, example, nitrogen family. So in nitrogen family, what is the valency? Outermost cell contains 5 electron, so valency will be 3 as well as 5. So variable valence will be possible for some elements. Next, transition and inner transition elements, that means D block and F block elements will exhibit variable valence. For example, copper. Copper is a D block element. Copper exists 2 type of valency, 1 as well as 2. When it loses 1 electron, Cu plus, it is called as what? Cuprous. When it loses 2 electron, it becomes Cu2 plus. So this is called cupric, right? Cuprous, cupric. The same way for iron also. Fe is a symbol of iron. Iron can lose 2 electron. Fe2 plus is called ferrous. It can lose 3 electrons. Fe3 plus is called ferric. So in the same way, mostly D block and F block elements will exhibit variable valence. Variable valence means an element can exhibit more than one type of valency. So with this we have completed what is valence and the variation of valence in modern periodic table. So valence is the combining capacity of an element relative to hydrogen, or you may calculate valency, which will be equal to the number of electrons in the outermost cell, or else which will be equal to the 8 minus valence electrons in the outermost cell. So this is a method of calculating valency. In group, valency will be same for all the elements. In period, valency will be changed. Then anomalous properties of second period element. What are the second period element? Lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon. These are second period element. First period contains two simple elements, hydrogen and helium. Now we consider second period element. These second period element are having somewhat different properties. For each group there is a similarity. Group number 1, 2, 3. For each group, elements will have same physical and chemical properties. But take first member in each group, mostly the second period element, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon. So these second period elements will have a different property. So this is called anomalous nature, right? A simple example can be given for that. Take lithium, right? First group elements are what? Hydrogen, lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium. So these are first group elements. A hydrogen cannot be fixed in first group because a hydrogen can be acting as alkali metal as well as halogens. So the position of hydrogen is not a fixed one. So usually alkali metals or group 1 elements means we consider lithium, sodium, potassium, then cesium, francium, rubidium. So these are all considered as alkali metals or group 1 elements, right? So lithium is in group number 1. Properties of all these elements will be similar. Lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium. All these will have similar properties. But since lithium is in second period, right? Lithium is in the second period. The property of lithium is somewhat different from the other members of group 1. Comparing the sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium, some properties are different for this first member lithium. So this is called the anomalous nature of second period element. What is that difference in property? So as we discussed already, first group elements are highly electropositive in nature. They have less ionization energy. So they are electropositive nature. They have the tendency of losing the electron easily. So they are forming ionic compound. If sodium is there, sodium loses one electron easily to become the configuration of neon. So all the atoms are trying to be like noble gases, right? So except noble gases, remaining atoms are highly unstable. So all the atoms are trying to achieve the electronic configuration of noble gases. So for that, atoms can lose electron, or atoms can gain the electron, or atoms can share the electron. So there are different possibilities. Except noble gases, remaining atoms in the modern periodic table are highly unstable. To be a stable one, because each one is having the tendency of attaining stability, right? So what is our attitude? Will we try to work continuously? No, always we are in the tendency of taking rest. So the same way, elements will have the tendency of to be a stable one. So to attain stability, elements need the electronic configuration of noble gases, right? Except noble gases, remaining elements are trying to attain the electronic configuration of noble gases so that elements can lose or gain or share the electrons to become a stable one. So that chemical reactions are taking place and there is a formation of new chemical compound. So when we consider alkali metals as well as alkaline earth metals, they are S block elements. What about the tendency of these elements? They are having the tendency of losing the electron to become like noble gases. When we take sodium has 11 electrons. Sodium has a tendency of losing one electron. Then only it will become like neon. Neon has a 10 electron. If sodium has a 10 electron means electronic configuration will be same. Neon electronic configuration is 1s2 2s2 2p6. Sodium configuration of 1s2 2s2 2p6 3s1. If sodium loses one electron, electronic configuration of sodium will be similar that of electronic configuration of neon. So to reach the electronic configuration of its nearest noble gas neon, sodium easily loses one electron, it becomes Na plus cation. So the tendency of an element is to achieve electronic configuration of noble gases so that first group elements will have the tendency of losing one electron to become a cation, so that they are forming ionic bond. So lithium plus, sodium plus, potassium plus, rubidium plus, like that, each element will lose an electron. If it becomes a cation, it combines with the anion to make ionic bond, so they are called ionic compounds. This is a general tendency. Alkali metals, alkaline earth metals are electropositive in nature. Electropositive means they will have the tendency of losing the electron. So sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium will have the tendency of losing one electron. It becomes a cation. Then it combines with anions like halogens or chalcogens to form ionic compound. But what is the difference in property of lithium? Even though it is in group number 1, it forms covalent compound. So this is anomalous nature, right? Lithium is in group number 1. Like sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium, lithium should have the tendency of losing the electron. It should become lithium plus, it should form ionic compound. But practically, comparing other members of group 1, lithium forms covalent compound. So this is anomalous nature of first member of second period element. In same way, beryllium also. Beryllium is the first member of group number 2. Beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium, radium. These are all the members in group number 2. As we said already, alkaline earth metals, that means group number 2, will have the tendency of losing 2 electron to become a cation. Magnesium loses 2 electron, it becomes Mg2 plus. Then it combines with anion to form ionic compound. But first member beryllium will not form ionic compound, it forms covalent compound. So this is anomalous nature of second period element. So this is an important one more question, right? So always the second period elements will have anomalous nature. Lithium and beryllium, instead of forming ionic compounds, it forms covalent compounds. But the remaining members in the same group 1 as well as 2, they are forming ionic compounds. Next, take second period element. As we said, they are different from the other members in the same group. We may observe 2 compounds, boron tetrafluoride ion as well as aluminum hexafluoride ion. So 2 ions can be considered here. Boron tetrafluoride ion as well as aluminum hexafluoride ion, right? Okay. So as we discussed already, what is the available orbitals in second period? In second period, available orbital 2s and 2p. 2p means 2px, 2py, 2pz. So in second period, electrons will be these 4 available orbitals: 2s, 2px, 2py, 2pz. Maximum 8 electrons can be there, right? So what about valency? Valence electron 1 means valency 1. Valence electron 2, valency 2. Valence electron 3, valency 3. Valence electron 4, valency 4. Valence electron 5 means 8 minus 5, 3. So this is one possibility. Valence electron 5 for second period element. For example, nitrogen, 8 minus 5, valency 3 for nitrogen. So in same way, what is the maximum valency? Maximum valency 4, right? So up to valence electron 4, we take it as such. More than 4 valence electron present, we subtract the valence electron from 8. So again for nitrogen, valency 8 minus 5, 3. Oxygen, 8 minus 6, 2. Then fluorine, 8 minus 7, 1. So maximum valence in second period, 4. Right? So consider these 2 ions, boron tetrafluoride anion BF4 minus as well as aluminum hexafluoride anion AlF6 3 minus. So these two elements are in group number, what group? 13th group, right? Boron, aluminum, gallium, indium, thallium. These are the members of group number 13. Just observe the valency of these two elements. Boron, combining capacity 4. It combines with 4 fluorine atoms. What about aluminum? Aluminum is also in the same group. Combining capacity 6. It combines with 6 fluoride anion, right? So you may easily observe the difference in the chemical property. Boron is the first member which is in second period. So this is different from the other members. Since it contains only 4 orbitals, maximum covalence 4. So boron exhibits combining capacity, that means valence 4. But remaining elements in the same group, remaining elements will have maximum orbital. If you take aluminum, aluminum is in the third period. Available orbital 3s, then 3p as well as 2p orbitals are also there. So since orbitals are more, valency will also be more, right? So always second period elements are different from the remaining members in the same group. So first example we have studied, lithium and beryllium will form covalent compound, but the remaining members in the same group number 1 and 2 are forming ionic compound. This is second example. Boron as well as aluminum, both are in the same group, group number 13. But comparing aluminum, second period element, boron exhibits valence 4. Remaining aluminum exhibits valence 6. Next, this is a public 3-mark question. What is diagonal relationship? Consider second period element, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, right? Lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon. Third period element, sodium, magnesium, aluminum, silicon. So when we consider second and third period elements, there will be similarity between these elements when we approach diagonally. So this is called a diagonal approach, right? Second and third period elements will have similar chemical properties when we approach them diagonally. So this is called a diagonal relationship. So the similarities in properties existing between diagonally placed element, this is called a diagonal relationship. What about the properties? Lithium and magnesium will have same property. Beryllium and aluminum will have same property. Boron and silicon will have same property. So this is called diagonal relationship. This is a public 3-mark question. Next, variation of chemical properties in modern periodic table. Okay, so which will form ionic bond, which will form covalent bond. So we have 118 elements in the modern periodic table. The elements in which part will involve in ionic bond, which part will involve in covalent bond. So this can be discussed based on ionization energy as well as electron affinity. So which group of elements will have low ionization energy? Usually group number 1 and 2. Alkali metals and alkaline earth metals will have low ionization energy because left to right ionization energy increases. So group number 1 and 2 are in the extreme left side of modern periodic table. So alkali metals and alkaline earth metals are having low ionization energy. Ionization energy low means outermost electron can be easily removed. So it forms cation. So sodium or magnesium, calcium or else barium, potassium. So all these group 1 and 2 elements are having low ionization energy. So it can easily lose the valence electron. Thereby it forms cation. Then what about elements with more electron affinity? Usually group number 16 and 17, Chalcogen family and halogen family. Since they are closer to noble gases, they will have more tendency of accepting the electron to become like noble gases. So oxygen can easily gain 2 electrons to become like neon. Fluorine will have the tendency of gaining one electron to become like neon. So they are expecting electronic configuration of its nearest noble gases, so that the elements present near to the noble gas will have the tendency of accepting the electron. So electron affinity will be more for group number 16 and 17. So they are forming anions. Oxygen gains 2 electron, it becomes oxide ion, O2 minus. Fluorine gains 1 electron, it becomes fluoride ion, F minus. Chlorine accepts an electron, it becomes chloride anion, Cl minus. So they are forming anions. So between cation and anion, always there will be a force of attraction. We call it as ionic bond. Electrostatic force of attraction will be there. The bond is ionic bond. So the compounds are called ionic compounds. So which will be forming ionic compound? Cation as well as anion. So group number 1 and 2 elements will form cation easily because they are having low ionization energy. Then group number 16, 17. These elements will have more electron affinity, so they will form anion easily by accepting electron. So between these two, there will be a formation of ionic bond. Next, what about reactivity of noble gases? As we discussed, noble gases are highly inert in nature because they have completely filled electronic configuration from helium to radon. Helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon. For all the members in group number 18, noble gases, completely filled electronic configuration. They don't have the tendency of gaining electron or losing the electron. So they are not involving in chemical reactions or chemical bonding. So they are highly inert in nature. They won't react in a chemical reaction, right? Next, metallic nature as well as non-metallic nature. Which element in the modern periodic table are metallic in nature? Which elements in the modern periodic table are non-metallic in nature? Metallic means electropositive character. How fast it loses electron to become a cation. So as we discussed, group number 1 and 2 elements are having low ionization energy. They are losing the electron easily to form a cation. So they are generally metallic in nature. Group number 1 and 2 are metallic elements. Group number 15, 16, 17, they are having high electron affinity. They have the tendency of accepting the electron to become like noble gases. So they are electronegative in nature. They are called non-metallic elements, right? Mostly p block elements are non-metallic, but some exceptions are there that we will discuss later. Mostly s block elements are metallic in nature, right? Group number 1 and 2, they have more electropositivity. They lose electrons easily due to low ionization energy. Since they are electropositive in nature, they are metallic elements. Group number 13 to 17, mostly p block elements, will have the tendency of accepting the electron. So they are highly electronegative in nature. So they are non-metallic elements. Exactly which will have more metallic nature means the extreme left lower part of modern periodic table, like cesium, because in the first group, lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, francium. Francium is a radioactive element. So when we take this rubidium, cesium, in this part, they are highly electropositive in nature, very low ionization energy, so they are highly metallic in nature. In the same way, as we discussed in Pauling's scale of electronegativity, fluorine is the element with a high electronegativity. Electronegativity of fluorine is 4 according to Pauling's scale. So fluorine is a non-metallic element, right? So extreme right side of modern periodic table. So upper part of extreme right side of modern periodic table, that element is a highly non-metallic in nature, right? Next one, what type of oxides are formed when a metal as well as non-metal reacts with oxygen? What type of oxides are formed? Based on the formation of oxide, we may find the nature of an element, right? Which oxide will be basic in nature, which oxide will be acidic in nature. These can be identified. So we consider a metallic element sodium and a non-metallic element chlorine, right? So this is metallic element sodium, non-metallic element chlorine. So these metal as well as non-metal combines with oxygen it forms two type of oxides. So metal sodium forms sodium oxide, non-metal chlorine forms Cl2O7. This is called a dichlorine heptoxide. So oxides will be formed. Next, the basicity, that means basic nature as well as acidic nature, can be identified for both the oxides. So sodium oxide and a dichlorine heptoxide formed. So which is basic in nature, which is acidic in nature, can be identified based on the reaction with water. So both these two oxides are reacted with water. So with water, sodium oxide gives strong base sodium hydroxide. So this is basic oxide, right? Sodium oxide is a basic oxide because with water it produces a strong sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide is a strong base. What about a dichlorine heptoxide, Cl2O7? It forms a strong acid, perchloric acid. HClO4 is called perchloric acid. Since Cl2O7 produces perchloric acid, so this is acidic oxide, right? So dichlorine heptoxide is acidic oxide. Next we are going to discuss about basic nature, right? When an element is forming a hydroxide, it becomes basic in nature, like sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, or rubidium hydroxide. So when group number 1 as well as group number 2 elements are forming hydroxide, they are becoming basic in nature. Top to bottom, ionization energy decreases in a group, so electropositive nature increases. What about changes in basicity? It means basic nature changes what? That we are going to discuss, right? So when we move from top to bottom, ionization potential decreases. That means electropositivity, electron lossing tendency increases. So what is the variation in the basic nature of hydroxides? So consider second group elements: beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium, radium. Radium is a radioactive element, we omit it. So top to bottom, generally basic nature increases. When we take hydroxides, beryllium can form beryllium hydroxide, magnesium can form magnesium hydroxide, calcium forms calcium hydroxide. So top to bottom, basic nature increases in the hydroxides, right? So take beryllium hydroxide. So this is the first element. Beryllium is the first element. It forms a hydroxide. Beryllium hydroxide is amphoteric in nature, right? Then second member, magnesium hydroxide, is weakly basic. Comparing beryllium hydroxide, this is strongly basic, right? Beryllium hydroxide is amphoteric in nature. Magnesium hydroxide is weakly basic. Next member, calcium hydroxide, which is more basic than the magnesium hydroxide. Then barium hydroxide is strongly basic. So which represents what? Top to bottom, ionization energy decreases, electropositivity increases. The hydroxides in which basic nature increases. From beryllium to barium, basic nature increases. So as we said, beryllium hydroxide is amphoteric in nature. Amphoteric means dual property. Generally, base will react with what? Acid. Like sodium hydroxide, if a base is there, a base will react with acid to give a salt and water. This is ordinary neutralization reaction. But beryllium hydroxide is amphoteric in nature. It won't react with acid alone. So beryllium hydroxide is a base. It reacts with acid, it forms a salt and water. Okay, this is ordinary reaction. But beryllium hydroxide is amphoteric in nature, so that it reacts with base also. Again, it reacts with base sodium hydroxide, it gives salt and water. Right? This is a 3 more question. Explain the amphoteric nature of beryllium hydroxide. Since it is amphoteric in nature, it reacts with both acids as well as bases. It gives a salt and water. So with the hydrogen chloride or hydrochloric acid, it gives beryllium chloride and water. with base sodium hydroxide, amphoteric hydroxide, beryllium hydroxide gives salt sodium berylate, Na2BeO2. So this is called sodium berylate with the liberation of water. So this is amphoteric nature of beryllium hydroxide. So with this today's session over. Today we have completed what is valence, how to calculate valence of an element, then variation of valence in group as well as period. Next, variation of chemical properties in group as well as period, anomalous nature of second period element, then diagonal relationship. All these we have completed today. So tomorrow, that means Monday onwards, we start a new lesson, hydrogen, fourth lesson, hydrogen, we start Monday onwards. So today, complete your homework, right? Okay, thank you.